stop reaching, but the actual people who worked on this film have affirmed that I am correct. Hold on, let me show it to you. I've already pulled this, but this is Delroy Lindo right here. When I read the script, I interpreted the story to be about what happens when a community is infiltrated and turns on itself. I told Ryan that's what I felt. I gave him my impressions, and he affirmed my impressions. Is that not exactly what happened in that juke joint scene? The community was infiltrated, and instead of staying in solidarity with the community that she was a part of, that were actively trying to protect her, Grace said, screw all of y'all, I'm running up out of here. She prioritized the safety of her family over the safety of the community, and that wound up being her downfall. We see this all the time in real life. Think about how many times Black people hold it down for everybody. We attempt to protect everybody. Great example of this is last year's election. The 92%, we did what we had to do. And yet so many other minorities chose to vote, aka work against the same people who were trying to save everybody. It was actually also Beau's downfall. In her desperation to save her family, she wound up leaving her daughter an orphan anyway. And in fact, we don't know if Stack and Mary didn't go and turn Lisa at some point in time, because they both survived. Y'all also keep phrasing this as if Grace was the only person who had somebody to lose outside of the juke joint. Sammy's mother, father, and siblings were all in that town. Perlene's husband was in that town. Annie had families and small children that she was the caretaker, the root worker for. They were all in that town. Every single last one of those people had a connection to other people in the town, but no one else was willing to jeopardize the safety of the people who they were currently with in order to save someone else. And it was because they were actually paying attention to what was happening. Delta Slim literally looks out of the window and he tells Grace they are not going anywhere. She refused to listen to him. Smoke literally says, just give me a second to think of a plan, and she does not listen to him, even though at the very end of this film, we see how effective Smoke is when he has had time to create and implement a plan. Annie says over and over and over again, all we need to do is stay inside, even though she had already rolled the bones and saw what was coming for her. And by the time Grace finally breaks and tells them to come on in, they are literally like 45 minutes from sunrise. Also, something that y'all keep forgetting is that Remick was not going anywhere. If he wanted to turn the town, he literally could have sent them all out to the town and stayed there himself with like 5 of the vampires that they had turned and just waited. But he was so entranced by Sammy and Sammy's ability to communicate with his ancestors and his descendants that he could not tear himself away from that place. It is literally a story about how white supremacy destroys everything. And instead, y'all are focusing on fucking Grace. She's not the point of the story. Move on.